この大空に翼を広げて。フライトダイアリー。
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome in. Here we are, another time, finally back in doing visual novels. I was thinking about this for a long time, and I was just like, you know what? With all of the production that it takes and my limited scheduling for what I do between on the weekends and also on the weekdays with work and everything, I still want to give some respect to what I do with the visual novels. So you know what? Let's go ahead and bring it to the live setting. And that's why we're here now. So thank you very much for joining. And if you're joining for the very first time, just know, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitter, you're watching on DLive, Trovo, Kick, or even Facebook, welcome in, everyone. Glad to have you with us. My primary outlet is my YouTube channel, so I encourage that you subscribe there, as the VODs for this, as well as some other pre-recorded content, will also be on the YouTube channel. So definitely encourage you to check that out as well. And I encourage you to follow me on Twitter, and we're also live on Twitter, as you saw earlier. So hey there, tweeters, tweet safely and tweet responsibly. Okay, let's make sure that we do that and be considerate of what we actually do post. Just because we can post it does not always mean that we should. So if you want to check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/sound_otaku_. And also, if you want any of the links to any of my outlets that I'm on the social networks, you can check them out on my master link on Linktree. So here we are with If My Heart Had Wings Flight Diary, and this has been a series that we've been on for quite a while, and I think we definitely need a recap on this one because it's been quite a while since we've had one. So let's get everybody up to speed of what we got so far. So with that, moving on to it. In the last of the events, the Soaring Club is in the middle of needing to do something to preserve their club. So Kotori gives Izuka a consideration, of course, as she was eating, to which she addresses to Izuka this idea if she wants their glider. Now, of course, this totally shocked Izuka. Like, wait a minute. It literally just choked on her food. And Izuka's like, why would you even ask something like that? Well, the thing is, and even as you see how the others are concerned about what Kotori said, but the reason why Kotori said it was this. They are in the middle of a state to where all of the seniors who are graduating, who have the qualifications, the credentials as a means of maintaining and even operating the glider, they're not going to be there anymore. So the Soaring Club needs someone who can be able to manage all of this stuff and be able to do that while also maintaining the Soaring Club's ideals. So Kotori is like, what better person to give this stuff to who could let the Soaring Club use it from time to time than Izuka? Because if we really look at it, Izuka was the one whom all of this really started to begin with, if you will. She was the idea person who really brought this out, but they have a lot of obstacles and they need someone to partner with them. Now, Amane just mentioned that while stuffing her face just now, to which Akari was there also, Akari is kind of Amane's assistant at this point. That's an interesting job that she chose after she graduated. But ultimately, as you can see, Amane managed to clean up her face really well also. I'm not sure how that happened, but ultimately, it just goes to show that some things never seem to change, do they? Some things just never change. But some folks, they probably have heard the stories, even the juniors. But ultimately, they were finally getting back on track. So what Amane said in particular, and that was where we last left off. And that's where we're gonna head to this time around. But of course, now the whole thing is, how's that all gonna turn out? You know, is there anything else that's gonna happen that ultimately can lead them in the right direction? And so we're going to see if we can find that out this time around. So what we're going to do is we are going to make our way over to the main portion of the story. So we'll just flip over to where they are now, right here. And before we continue, I need to make a few adjustments that I had forgotten to make. So one of those is I need to first, of course, stop the background music from the opener. And that's done. So in the next thing also is, because in order to do these replays and everything, I actually have to use a second recorder, but I just forgot to program the title on that, so I'm just going to do that right quick. But I hope everyone's day has been fantastic. I would imagine with me doing reading and whatnot, I'm probably going to put you all to sleep. I've heard rumors that apparently I have a bad habit of doing that to people, but hey, I don't know what else to tell you except you're welcome. Because it is pretty much around the nighttime and whatnot, but I figured this is more of something that's a little bit more chill, so I figured it's something that we can just kind of be in the chill hours with in that regard. So we're just going to start the recording there. And then let us begin. Let's find out exactly what's going to go on next with this. Well then, let me be your first partner, most likely said Amane. That was what she said. That was really important.
Amane-chan, どういうこと？協力者になってくれるって。
Kotori, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what she meant by that. And there she goes, back to literally stuffing her face. Now just look at this. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's like she's got it all over her cheeks. Like how sludgy is that cheese? And then, it's just dripping all off on her, on her hand right there with the one slice that she's got right there. So she's got like 2 slices in her hand, and one of them, the cheese is... I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Amane looked utterly joyful with both hands full of pizza. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think she'll listen unless we do. Yeah, well, I don't think you're gonna get a word out of her in that regard, with her mouth full and of course the fact that she's mesmerized with food. Because I'll tell you right now, Amane is quite the bottomless pit when it comes to food. Agaha and I took the pizza from each hand. Wow, they managed to pull that off? Oh boy. Wait a minute. How long has it been since you ate? Oh boy, I tell you, these folk. Amane looked crushed. It might have seemed like we were picking on a child, but she was by far the oldest person here. She let out a pitiful sigh and then started talking. Oh, really? And what would a genius like you need help with? You need our help? A part of their secret base. How much real estate are we talking about here? Hadn't heard that in a while. Wow. Back when the club had been disbanded, we called the hangar we borrowed from Asa our secret base. Interesting. Now that the school had approved us, there wasn't any secrets, so it was just the hangar now.
風車を作るんだ。そのための場所を確保しなきゃいけなくてな。
Interesting. Wait, you want to make a turbine? What do you want to make a turbine for?
さあ、説明したぞ。ピザを食べさせてくれ。
I don't think they got the whole spec of it, but I think I see what's happening here. If you two are partners, you get to take a little bit of their space, and in return, you help them out with their stuff.
今ので終わり？
Apparently so.
全然わかんないっす、先輩。
Akari came to our rescue.
私が代わりにご説明いたします。
Probably should have just asked Akari to begin with.
現在、風車の丘に望月先生がデザインした風車が稼働していることはご存知ですね。
We nodded. We all knew that very well. They'd even talked about it on that TV show.
簡単に言うと、その風車に注文が殺到しているのです。
Flooded with orders. Supply and demand, I tell you.
騒音が少なく、風量による発電量の差も小さいって聞いてるわ。
It was Akari's turn to nod. She gave Yoru an approving look.
近年、自然エネルギーへの注目度は飛躍的に高まり、その技術は世界規模のニーズを生んでいます。アメリカと日本を行き来する望月先生には海外からのオファーも多数来ているのよ。じゃあ、あれと同じ風車をあそこでたくさん作るんですか？
Akari shook her head.
自然エネルギーによる発電は環境への依存度が大きい。その場所に適した方法をその都度探さないといけないわ。
It takes deep research to find the appropriate method for any specific location.
それに望月先生のお仕事はあくまでデザインすること。現地の情報をもとに設置場所に適した風車をデザインするの。つまりあそこで試作モデルを作りたいってわけね。
Working models, he says.
そっか、あそこなら作ってすぐ実験もできるもんね。そういうことだ。分かってくれたならピザを。
You want that pizza?
まだよ、大事なとこが抜けてる。私たちにどう協力してくれるの？だから場所を借りる分家賃を払う。あの秘密基地の半分もあればこと足りる。
Even renting out half the space in that enormous hangar would leave us plenty of room to use.
クラブを作るならグライダーは何機か欲しいけど、あそこならそれでも全然余りそうだね。ついでに電気もタダで使えるぞ。
Mm-hmm.
実験のために発電した電力をそのまま使用できます。やや不安定かもしれませんが。
Oh, that kind of turbine. Yeah, that makes sense.
あそこで生活するわけじゃないから、そこは大丈夫なんじゃないかな。
That would help reduce operating costs too.
俺も協力するぞ。
Hey, Tatsuya. How you been, buddy? Tatsuya had been listening quietly, but now raised his hand.
今まで通りウインチや機械類のメンテナンスなら任せてくれ。
Look at that. Look at all that. A plan just coming all together. That's what I'm talking about.
五十嵐君。
These two are in love with each other, just so you know.
もちろんタダでだ。その代わりたまには乗せてくれよな。
I'm sure we could figure something out in that regard.
ありがとう。私たちも。
Yuka and Sanai actually want to get involved? Yuka and Sana had been sitting and listening. Now they slowly raised their hands as well. There's a part of me that suspects that's because Tatsuya is gonna be there. I'd say that's most likely what it is.
クラブの会員集めなら協力できるかも。
Is that right?
本当に？系風の子でグライダーに興味を持ってた子結構いたから。
Yuka, you're not gonna try to force them, are you?
飛岡先生のこと怖がってて言い出せない子とかいたんですよね。それなら私も大学の子に声かけてみますよ。うちの大学ここから近いんで。
Is that right? How's it hanging, Kaneko? It's been a while.
それすっごい助かる。会員集めどうしようって思ってたから。
You couldn't have a group without members, of course. It was one of the major problems we had.
なんかできそうな気がしてきた。やった。問題はたくさんあるけど、でもいいよこの計画。グレートだよ。
Izuka hadn't been so sure a few minutes ago, but now with all the help, she was looking up.
それに系風ソアリング部の存続に力を貸せるってのもいいね。
なんたってソアリング部はお前が復活させたんだもんな。
Amane and Izuka exchanged looks when Tatsuya said that.
あの時は私と2人だけだったけど、今はこんなに大勢いる仲間が。仲間。
Izuka looked out in astonishment at all the people around her.
飛びたいって気持ちをみんなが持ってるのなら、僕にできる限りのことをするよ。
Looking around, everyone was nodding in agreement. And Izuka nodded back.
じゃあ一丁やってみますか。
Just do it! Yeah, that's one of those like hands in the air. Ah! Oh boy, I tell you. Extend the little wings which fly this sky highly. Fly in the sky highly, that is.
鉄は熱いうちに撃つべし撃つべし撃つべし。
Oh my. Once Izuka had decided to act, she didn't waste any time. She dove right into getting her group started this year, as if her whole 10-year plan thing never happened. And though it had just been a passing idea, it gave meaning to reviving the club and its decaying glider. But first we needed to make sure all this was possible. The thing was, some of our equipment was borrowed, and there was no guarantee Izuka could use it too. And we still had to work it out with the school. We weren't sure they'd allow us to do activities with equipment borrowed from an outside group. If we could not, the whole plan would collapse. And so the next few days after that evening had been very busy.
だー、暑かった。
I would imagine, because I don't think there's any air conditioning in there. Izuka came back from outside and collapsed on the table. Okay, maybe there is actually air conditioning in there, but yeah, being outdoors, yeah, it's definitely hot.
おかえりなさい。どうだった？
Total success. I'd just taken Izuka to meet with the runway landowner. We'd explained the situation and asked if Izuka would be able to use the runway. It had gone very well.
水瀬くんのお母さんのおかげだよ。
Yo, Moms is helping out. Let's go.
どういうこと？
We asked my mother to be our intermediary in the negotiation. My mother was a friend of the landowner. Yo, this is a good lesson to know. It's not just what you know, but who you know and who knows you. In fact, I doubted there was any landowner in the area my mom did not know. I doubted we'd get much trust as students, so I figured having Mom along would help out.
水瀬さんとこの息子さんなら信用できますね。だって。さすが葵のお母さんね。何気に有力者だよね。
Yeah, I guess we are lucky to have her on our side. I figured it would work out since the guy was an old soaring club member. But it had been super easy with my mom aboard.
これで一番大きな問題をクリアできたわけね。
Yeah, without a runway, you ain't getting off the ground. Yoru said, looking over the plans. Making sure we had a runway was one of our biggest issues. Since we needed a big, flat area, if the owner refused, we'd have to travel a really long distance to find another. So far, it looked like the plan to start Kazagaru Soaring Group was right on track.
となると、もう一つの懸念事項はここね。
He was worried whether or not Isuka would be able to use the hangar. Naturally, no one thought she'd be able to use it for free. We could only use it now because of Asa. That negotiation would also have a lot of conditions.
今おじいちゃん、奥日光に秘書に出かけてて、もうじき帰ってくるようなので、その時お話ししてみます。
This'll be interesting.
ま、最悪姉さんが泣き落としすればなんとかなりそうだけど。
Wow! Wow! Alright. So if I ever marry and have kids to which they marry and have grandchildren, I'll make sure not to be fazed by that.
朝、分かってます先輩。私、ソアリング部のためなら悪魔にだって魂を売ります。
Little sister, let me explain something to you. Keep your soul, okay? Keep your soul. You could do a lot more with that, okay, than your tears. Trust and believe. You could do a lot more with your soul than with your tears. Especially when you fake it like that, alright? Keep your soul. Oh, gosh.
よく言ったわ。
Asa and Kotori shared a firm handshake. I couldn't tell if they were joking or serious. I mean, just look at that smirk on Kotori's face. I mean, just look at that.
うちのお父さんも全面的に協力してくれるって。
You know what? I never met Mr. Himegi. What's Mr. Himegi like? All this would mean new unfamiliar planes, would be flying overhead. Local residents were sure to worry about accidents. There would be outsiders joining the group, so strangers would be coming and going. All this would need to be explained before we started a group here. And anyway, it'd always be better to have the locals on our side. Aga's old man was head of the Chamber of Commerce and knew everyone. Going through him could get the town's key figures on board to help to get the group started.
町が活気づいていいんじゃないかってさ。
Is that right?
ありがとう、アガちゃん。
So that leaves the school.
それならもうすぐ交渉窓口が来るはずよ。
And who's your contact?
あいつ遅いな。どこで道草してんのかしら。
Oh boy. Aga started grumbling, and just then...
はいっせ。
I should have known. Masasugu came bursting in. He seemed oddly happy.
おー、来た来た。遅かったじゃんか。
Probably over there just bawling his eyes out to Akari.
遅れてごめんなさい。仕事がどうしても抜けられなくて。
Mm-hmm.
あかりさん？
Akari followed Masasugu.
聞いて驚け。あかりさんはな、お前たちのために力を貸してくださるそうだ。
Of course.
望月先生が協力すると言っている以上、私も手を貸さないわけにはいきません。
Of course.
ほんのサポートですが、力になれればと思います。
We'd all been so worried about this school negotiation. The sudden appearance of help had made us giddy.
いいですか？交渉するときは 毅然とした態度で臨むこと。
Akari stood in front of the whiteboard. We sat in a semicircle and listened quietly. It was like we were in class.
先生方はあなたたちを所詮は子供の集まりと思っているわ。
Yeah, we kinda are, but still.
その子供たちが主導で動いている計画を先生たちはまず侮ってみるはず。いい？舐められてはダメよ。所詮子供と思われているうちは対等な交渉はできないわ。
Technically, they are inexperienced kids, but here's the thing. It's one thing to try to teach someone to be careful, but it's another when you do it in a very belittling manner. So I get it that the teachers are concerned about them being inexperienced, but that's the moment that you guide them through that inexperience to help them gain experience. So that's the whole thing about it. Now, if they're doing the belittling in a simulation of what would happen in the real world, that's one thing. But if they belittling just to give them a hard time, Everyone took Akari very seriously. She'd been student council vice president for 1 term and president for 2. She had experience.
なるほど。
Latori was taking notes as seriously as she ever did. She looked oddly meticulous like this.
具体的にはどのように対処すればいいんですか？
まずどんな質問にも答えられるよう準備しておくこと。
Indeed.
そしてさも当然のようにそれに答えるの。なるべくスラスラと。答えに詰まってはダメよ。
Yeah, stumbling too much is not good. I guess it looked like we were confused or unsure of ourselves.
中には論点がずれていたり、わざと意地悪な質問をする先生もいるでしょう。
Now that's what I have a problem with. And I'd say if there's anyone who's going to do that more than anything else, it's Mr. Tobioka.
だからといって答えられなかったら準備が足りていない。所詮は子供のすることだと思われてしまうわ。
Yeah, but at the same time, these teachers don't even really have much experience with the soaring club as far as their activities or anything else to begin with. And even if they did, how much of it are they really being truthful about? See, this is the part that always pisses me off. Akari, is something bothering you?
してません。
Oh, there's something bothering her. Something's always bothering her.
あかりさんもそれで苦労したんだよ。
Atsusugu whispered to me. Clearly she was irritated thinking back on what she'd been through. Yeah, so something is bothering her. Did they actually treat someone as talented as Akari like that?
でも私たちのやろうとしてることは前例がないわけじゃないから話せば分かってもらえると思うんですが。
The problem is they're going to try to find a reason to basically disqualify you. So you basically have to play this game of disqualifying their disqualifications.
学校外の設備を借りて活動している部は他にもいくつかあったわね。
ツーリング部がそうですね。練習走行用のコースを借りてました。
Asasugu had been the student council president until the other day, so he was clued in. School facilities often weren't sufficient for more unusual clubs. The club Masasugu had mentioned entered solar car races. They had to use outside courses to practice. There were other examples, like sports schools that often let teams practice with university or corporate teams. There were lots of examples. However,
学校のクラブが外部の社会人のクラブ設立に力を貸したという前例は聞いたことがないわ。
oh yeah, so it's new territory.
おまけに部の設備であるグライダーを預けようとしている。これも多分前例はないでしょう。
Very unprecedented. Akari thought we'd have trouble getting permission to give away the glider we'd bought with the help of the school funds.
自分たちは博物館にあげちゃおうとしたくせに。
True that.
博物館は公共の施設ですし、寄贈という形式をとってましたからね。
Of course. Which is why we come up with the idea of letting Izuka hold the glider. We also thought keeping the appearance of Izuka's group borrowing the glider would be better for each of us in the long run.
それからもう一つ問題になるとすれば、イスカさんのクラブがまだ存在していないことですね。
And how fast can we get it into existence? That's the other question.
実態がわからないのに、学校側としてはおいそれと信用はできないと思います。
Yeah. Since the school would be entrusting an outside organization with its students, they could not just trust anyone. Which is understandable, because if anything blows up, it falls back on them.
僕の信用にかかってるってことか。自信ないな。
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. Izuka, weren't you a little bit of a troublemaker back in the day, to a degree? I had heard that Izuka was a real terror when she was a student at Keifu. My question has been answered. I wonder what the teachers who remembered her would think.
しかし
But even so, you gotta understand, that's when she was a kid, basically. If you really look at her, you gotta look at what she's doing now as well. I understand that's the past that they have to go by, but at the same time, people can grow up.
この計画については、あなた方と学校との間でメリットが一致しているはずなの。
And that is?
これがどういうことかお分かりですか？
気合と根性があればどうにかできるってことかしら？
Well, that's one of them. No, I don't think Akari would look at it like that.
プレゼンテーション次第ってことね。
Yeah, Yoru said.
メリットが一致していることを先生らに理解させることができれば話が通らない道理はない。
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. With any negotiation, there has to be a win-win situation. If you're making it so only one side is winning, then it's not very favorable. But if you can make it so it looks like all parties are winning, then you're going to make some headway. Akari nodded.
だからこそ舐められちゃいけないのね。
So they would listen seriously and take us on on equal terms.
ですが、一部の先生はそもそもソアリング部がどんな活動をしているのかさえ知らないわ。
And therefore, that's an automatic distrust.
交渉の進め方次第では一方的に却下される恐れもある。
Which is not reasonable, because if you're supposed to be helping to guide students and all that stuff, you should hear them out. If you just dismiss them straight up just because you don't even understand it yourself, without any backing to that lack of understanding, then you're basically doing a disservice. So we had to think about our presentation. In other words, how we could get the teachers to understand.
交渉役は誰なの？
俺は仲介はするけどそこまでだぞ。実際の交渉はお前らがやってくれよな。
It's best that they are the ones that do it anyway.
まあここは部長であり成績面でも優等生な小鳥がやればいいんじゃない？
She'd even gotten a special endorsement for her university. The teachers all respected and accepted her. However, Kotori folded her arms and thought,
朝がやるべきじゃないかしら。
hey, if you think she's got a shot. Asa jumped like a scared cat when she heard her name.
なんで私なんですか？だって次の部長はあなたでしょ？そうなんですよね。
With what I know at this current point about Asa, I think Yoru would be the better choice. But the thing is I don't think Yoru puts as much effort as Asa does.
私はやらないわよ。そんな面倒なこと。
Oh, there's your answer right there when it comes to Yoru. Yoru was technically a member, but she did not want to ruin her worrisome older sister image for this. And so the only upperclassman left was Asa.
私よりどちらかというと中村くんの方がしっかりしてる気が。
We older students stared pointedly at Asa as she tried to wriggle her way out. Little sis, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you really want something, you're gonna have to develop the courage in order to pursue it. As long as it's something reasonable.
俺じゃ無理です。まだグライダーのことをそんなに詳しくないですし、それに先輩を差し置いてなんて。
でも私らが引退した後パイロット資格を持ってるのはアサちゃんだけになるんだよ。
Oh, she got the pilot's license. I forgot.
アサちゃんがみんなを引っ張っていかなきゃ。
That's the one thing about being a leader. It's not really about ability. It's about responsibility. You're not just responsible for good decisions, you're also responsible for bad ones. You're responsible for everything. But that's a lot of cases to where people don't like leadership is because of the accountability. But honestly, if you do it right, it's very rewarding. She clearly had no confidence. Asa's eyes filled with tears. But I knew she was the right choice, and I knew that Kotori felt that too.
いい？アサ、しっかりなんてしてなくていいの。それは私を見てればわかるでしょ。どう見たって葵先輩やアゲハ先輩の方がしっかりしてますもんね。
Ouch. Kotori glared at Yoru when she offered this scathing bit of support.
あなたには仲間がいるわ。妹はちょっと性格歪んでるけどなかなか優秀だし。
Yo, raise your hand if you're unusual, but at the same time, you're really cool. And yes, I did say unusual. Slip of the tongue.
はるみちゃんやキリノさんもいる。足りない部分は他の部員がカバーしてくれる。でもそれならどうして私なんですか？一番先輩になるからですか？
It's all part of growing up, Asa. You can't stay the little girl forever. Kotori shook her head gently.
あなたが一番空を飛びたがってるからよ。
True that.
空を翼を持たない私たちが空を飛ぶということはとっても大変なことよ。これからも今みたいにいろんな問題が発生すると思う。その度にきっとくじけそうになるわ。そんな時みんなを引っ張っていけるのはしっかりした人じゃない、賢い人でもない、一番飛びたがってる人よ。
Ageha and I nodded. The one who's the most determined.
どんなにしっかりしててもそれがなきゃくじけちゃうもんね。
Yeah, true that. Ageha said teasingly, but Kotori shook her head angrily.
こら、今真面目な話してるの。
Can you remember the day you guys joined us?
そうだ、いい場所があるわ。
Asa had called out to us, the people who were looking for a place to keep our glider, in a monotone voice. And the place she had taken us was the hangar we now used. And in exchange for finding us this place, we made her a full member of the club. She had some doubts back then, a little bit on the timid side, but ultimately she mustered up the courage.
人見知りで引っ込み思案だった姉さんが自分からあんなこと言うなんて本当驚いたわ。私なんかさ、飛ぶより飛ばせる方に興味ある人だから特に思うんだけど、そういう熱いとこ見せられるとさ、こっちも熱くなるわけ。こいつを絶対飛ばせてやるぞって。そう思わせてくれるような人がみんなを引っ張っていくんだよ。私にそんなことできるでしょうか。できるわ、きっと。
And honestly, although she was normally clumsy, she was getting to be a great pilot. She was so passionate and intent. It brought out abilities she usually did not have.
俺たちも一生懸命支えます。
アサちゃん先輩頑張っせ。
Asa raised both hands in a victory pose. It looked like she was ready. Wait a minute, what? That doesn't really look like a victory pose to me. I mean, that doesn't really look like a victory pose. Whatever.
じゃあ交渉役は風戸さんでいいのね。
Akari asked cautiously. She didn't seem convinced. And to be fair, Asa might not be best to talk to the teachers like equals as Akari had just recommended. And yet...
自分たちの未来に関することだもの。はい、やります。
Hey, looks like she's developing some vigor.
でも一応夜をサポートにつけておきましょう。さっき言った通りよ。足りないところは仲間が補う。まあ姉さんが話す方が先生受けすると思うし、説明の足りない部分や先生が論点をずらしてきた時は私が対処するわ。それって結局マスコット的存在なんじゃ。
I'd say if anything, your sister would kind of be a little bit of a more of a mascot than you. You're presenting the main points. Asa's face fell.
はるみちゃんもついてって。次期副部長ってことで。
わかりました。
That settled our plan for the school negotiation.
なかなかいいチームワークだったね。
After our talk, I left the hangar with Iska, who had a lecture in the afternoon. I also had to go by the dorm.
いいなあ、仲間がいるって。
Aren't we all your friends?
そう言ってもらえると嬉しいな。けどそうじゃないの。昔の話ね。僕は仲間を一度裏切ってしまったから。
Ooh. What?
もしあの時裏切らなかったら今の水瀬くんたちみたいに慣れてたのかなって。なんかさ、眩しいんだよね、みんなが。
Iska looked up at the sky, hands clasped behind her head.
そう思うと悔しくて頑張ろうってなる。今度こそくじけないぞってね。
Amane and Tatsuya are helping out too. I think you've got a good team building.
ほんといい子だね、水瀬くんは。さすがあの天音に付き合ってソアリング部入っただけあるわ。
I was shocked for some reason.
ま、そういう子じゃないと翼の折れたグライダーしかないソアリング部で雲の向こうを目指したりしないか。
I guess so. It takes all kinds of things to achieve a goal. Talent, work, money. And when the road was long and the way it was difficult, the last thing you could count on was passion. Without that, you could never reach your goal.
よーし、頑張るぞ
Let's go! Izuka raised both fists and cried out as she walked down the gentle slope. I like that background.
新部長頑張ってくださいっす。
Oh man. Yo, I love this track right here. Honestly, I could see using this track as to like share a weather report. You know what I mean? There's just something about this track that just gives me like weather report vibes. Oh yeah, that's just me though.
まだだから今の部長は小鳥先輩だから。
You're the next leader, so go ahead and start practicing.
嫌がってた割に まんざらでもなさそうね、姉さん。だって誰かに頼られるなんて初めてなんだもん。
You'll get used to it with practice.
頼りにしてますよ先輩。
朝ちゃんやる気になってるね。栄誉あるソアリング部部長を引き継ぐんだから当然よ。でもさ、あそこで小鳥が朝ちゃんを指名するとはちょっと意外だったかも。どうして？私てっきりはるみくんにすると思ってた。はるみちゃんはまだ2年よ。そりゃあしっかりしてるけど気遣いもできるしね。アゲハだって朝がいいって言ってたじゃない。まあね、けどどっちも捨てがたいかな。どっちが部長でも面白いことになりそう。葵がね、私に言ってくれたのよ。私が一番高い空を見てたって。私が空の果てをまっすぐ見てたから、あの雲の回廊にもたどり着けたって。葵がそんなこと言ったの？わかってるわよ。それは葵が自分の彼女をひいきしてるだけだって。
Aoi, thank you for taking one for the team.
モーニンググローリーを飛べたのは私なんかより葵やアゲハやあまねちゃんやみんながいたからだって。まあそりゃね、最低限の人員でやってたし、誰か一人欠けてもダメだったと思うけど。葵がね、おかしなことを言ってたの。もし私がいなかったら多分主翼を作ってテストフライトしたところで満足しちゃってたって。ハゲハも同じこと言うと思うって。ああ、それはあるかも。そうなの？なんで？だって普通に考えて学生の私らが自分たちで主翼を作って空飛ぶってだけでもう十分すぎるくらい大きな目標だもん。そうだけど、見たでしょ？モーニンググローリーの写真。テストフライトに成功した頃はまだただの夢だったわ。いつか本当に飛べたらいいなーって。あまね先輩の引退のこともあったけど、そこはほらモーニンググローリーが来てくれなきゃどうにもならないわけで、私としてはもし来た時に飛べるようできる限りの準備をするってつもりでいた。それがちゃんとした目標に変わったのはいつ頃だったかな。実際に朝焼けの空に雲の道ができてるのを見て、葵とあまね先輩がそこを目指して飛んでるのを下から見てた時かな。もう少しで手が届きそうで、でも届かなかった。じゃあそれまでは無理だって思ってたの？そういうわけじゃないけど、絶対叶うとは思ってなかったわね。だから私はとりあえず目の前のやるべきことを一つずつこなしてこうって思ってた。そうだったんだ。小鳥はほんと一途に空ばかり見上げてたよね。だって早くしないとあまねちゃんの引退に間に合わないって思ってたから。上ばっか見てると足元をすくわれるものよ。誰かが見ててやらないと。お世話をかけました。
Some?
いえいえ、それが私の性分ですから。でもね、夢をまっすぐ見ててくれる人がいるから安心して足元で頑張れるってのはあるかな。
Not in a bad way, of course.
そういう人がいなかったら目の前の目標を達成して満足しちゃってたかも。ロボット部やめてなかったかもね。なんか照れるね。世話が焼けるとも言うけどね。途端にバカにされてる感じに。
Maybe just a little bit.
だから 小鳥がいたからモーニンググローリーを飛べたっていうのは間違いじゃないと思う。飛びたがってる人を飛ばせてあげるのが私の仕事だからね。朝ちゃんはいい部長になると思うよ。どっかの誰かさんにもろ影響されちゃってるし。いい影響だといいんだけど、あの子私以上に世話が焼けそうだから。まあそこはよくできた妹としっかり者の後輩がいるから。引退するのってすごくハラハラするね。
Nah, it's not.
だね。
What do we got here? That evening, Kotori and I were cleaning up after dinner. We only had a few dates left to be together in the kitchen like this. The thought made simple chores like this precious. Asa really seems fired up. We talked over the presentation with her after we got home.
見てると落ち着かないのよね。ああ言っちゃった手前口出しできないし。
Once you were a leader, it was hard to let go. It was a first for me, and probably for Kotori too. We both had to quit the clubs we were in after accidents. Surely we give advice. Oh, all right, one more time. Surely we can give advice, though. You are still the leader.
朝たちの考えがまとまったら一度聞いてみる。
Kotori's face looked strained, as if something was weighing over her. But it looks like we're in no position to plan our final flight.
そうね。今のこれが片付くまではお預けかも。
We could not fly without a supervisor anyway. I told Harumi I'd ask our old one to come, but it really wasn't the time. And since they'd had to stop because of a work transfer, it was honestly a bit much to ask. I mean, they'd probably agree if we paid for transportation, but still.
最悪、2学期になってからね。
So, after we actually leave the club, not that I'd call closure. Oh man, I just want to fly.
急に大声出さないでよ。びっくりするでしょ。
But I want to fly. I want to fly like an eagle. Oh my gosh. We haven't had a single flight since summer break started. And every day is one day closer to the end. Even I'm starting to feel like the sky's getting further away. Looking up at the sky on a clear day made me itchy. And every day I went without flying just increased the stress. Aoi, maybe you want to start thinking about becoming a commercial pilot.
時間ができたら久しぶりに行く？
She was talking about the airfield we used to go to. Oh, she was talking about the airfield we'd used to get our pilot's license. It was kind of far, but we could fly for a fee. You seem awfully calm about this.
そんなことないけど、私も飛びたいわよ。
I just feel like it's usually your job to say stuff like this.
そんな役割分担をした覚えないけど。
I feel like something's changed lately. You're different.
そう？
Maybe it's just everything you talked about before. Kotori has seemed different ever since we started working on Isuka's plan to start a group.
わかんない。でも、ちょっと違う気がする。今はイスカさんの野望に手を貸してるだけだもん。
And not working on your own dream?
多分。
She wasn't actually agreeing. I imagine Kotori herself hadn't sorted out her feelings yet.
けどワクワクはしてるよ。またこの風が浦で飛べるかもしれないんだから。
Do you think Izuka's plan is going to work?
行くと思う。イズカさん本気だもん。
Kotori said, not showing a trace of worry. Like she truly believed dreams came true if you just wished hard enough.
洗い物終わり。ね、お風呂先入っていい？
Sure, go ahead.
一緒に入れたらいいのにね。そしたらストレス解消できるのに。
I don't know if I can handle you teasing me like this right now.
そうなの？わかった。じゃあまた後でね。
Tomorrow I'm going to try to cycle again. I was planning on riding Mr. Tsukubae or something like that. Okay. Oh, Mount. Okay, it's a mountain. I was planning on riding Mount Tsukubae Pass. Riding Mount Tsukubae Pass to let off some steam. Okay. The plan to save the Soaring Club and achieve Itsuka's ambition had rushed ahead. We still had to talk to everyone involved and put together materials for the school presentation. And then we had to actually found the group. I knew it wouldn't all get done before we had to leave the club. I just wanted to set the path. That way, at least we would not leave the responsibility for the club's survival completely on our juniors. Which was as it should be. I could not lie. It was exciting to work on one last big project with everyone before I left. Whatever we did now might be the last thing we got to do together. And so the end of August came, inevitably. And at that spot, let's go ahead and take a little break here. Get a little bit of refreshment here. I'm, of course, going to do a little bit of a refreshment myself. There's not going to be any replay for this one, so I'll just do a simple timer. But yeah, pretty much what I'm going to do is get some water and everything for my throat and everything, since I'm doing a lot more reading than usual. And then we'll come back and we'll do roughly about 1 more hour. So let's take about 10 minutes to get refreshed and then we'll be back. All right, so I'll see y'all in 10 minutes. Okay, folks. Gonna go back for round 2. And we'll go on for about another hour or so. And then we will say goodnight. I'm pretty sure some of you probably sleep already. A little more water. All right. Let's continue with what we got here. Ready? Here we go. Oh, dear Asa.
チーセ
What's going on, Masasugu? Yo. And look who it is, Mr. Hat himself. Today was the school presentation.
準備はいいか
大丈夫です。
As ready as she can be, buddy.
朝しっかりね。悪い大人に言いくるめられるんじゃないわよ。それから飛び岡には要注意ね。またあいつが何か言ってきたら鼻の穴に指突っ込んで思いっきり引っ張っていいから。
I don't think that's going to work.
ああもうガッチガチじゃないの。
Kotori was beside herself with Asa being so nervous.
やっぱり私が行った方がいいかな。
鳥先輩だと本当に先生の鼻に指突っ込みそうだから姉さんの方もマジか。
Back her up, Yoru.
まあなるようにしかならないかと。
Yoru didn't seem phased at all.
はるみちゃんもバックアップよろしくね。
はい部長。
それじゃ行こうか。
行ってきます。
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 Asa gripped the laptop with the presentation under her arm and left. And tripped on the way out the door.
心配すぎる。
Oh, it's all a part of growing up.
は
Hat is hilarious. This is going to decide everything. First, we had to make sure the teachers understood the significance of our plan. Then I guess they'd have to meet with the group's leader, Izuka. That was probably the real make or break part. But it would never get that far if today's presentation fell through. We just have to leave this to the next generation.
胃が痛い。青い撫でて。
Nah, I guess I can do that. Sure. Everyone, including Ryoko, come on, brain, who stayed behind for my farewell party, had now gone back home again. We were the only ones in the dorm now, with Asa and Yoru out.
今よからぬこと考えた。
Who you think you talking to? What are you talking about?
朝たちが頑張ってるのに不真面目なことしたら怒るからね。
I'm starting to suspect that's really you. What kind of jerk do you take me for? I was feeling a little peeved. I was the one rubbing her belly after all. Either ice cream or a beverage. In the morning, we'd seen Asa and the rest off. We were having some noodles for lunch and waiting for news at the dorm.
大丈夫かしらあの子たち。
How many times have you said that now?
だってさもう。
Kotori seemed convinced she should have gone. It seemed like such thoughts had been rolling around her head all morning. Kotori was always one to be firm when it was time to act, and fret constantly afterwards. Kotori gave Hat the cucumber off her noodles as she sighed dramatically.
私が卒業しちゃったらこの子どうするんだろう。
Who knows? They'll just keep on going, I bet. We'd already explained the duck to the next house mother. He was tough, and he could find his own food in the garden. He'd be fine. And Asa and the rest would be here. As we were talking, the doorbell rang. Hey, Izuka, what's up?
小鳥ちゃんいる？
Izuka had shown up out of breath and a little panicked.
何かご用ですか？あのね、二人とも今から一緒に来られる？別に用事はないですけど。
Sure. But what's wrong? Why all the rush?
時間がないの。事情は歩きながら話すから。
We rushed to get ready and headed out with Izuka. Izuka was nervous and obsessively checked the time. She explained as we rushed along.
これから風戸のおじいちゃんに会いに行くの。え、それって朝たちのおじいちゃん？うん。
But Asa and the others are at school now. I thought they'd be home soon, though.
格納庫の話なら朝たちが戻ってきてからの方がいいんじゃ。
Izuka shook her head silently. She had a fierce expression on her face.
違うの。もっともっと大事な。言ってみればこの計画全部の話。
What do you mean? We looked at each other and Kotori cocked her head. What was going on here?
この数日僕水瀬くんやアゲハちゃんにいろんな人を紹介してもらって会いに行ってたでしょ。
It was true. We'd gone through my mother and Agaha's father to introduce her all over. And then Izuka had used that network to meet more people to talk about founding her group. It was all grown-up stuff, and we all had been left out of the loop. Our role was to deal with the school.
どうやら耳に入っちゃったらしいのよ。風戸のおじいちゃんの。
So what? You're talking like that's bad.
まずいわけじゃないんだけど。
It was someone she'd need to deal with for the hangar.
風戸のおじいちゃんはね、いわば風ヶ浦の影の支配者なのよ。
Really?
支配者？古くからの大地主でね。この風ヶ浦でおじいちゃんの息のかかってないものはないって言うわ。市の政策から駄菓子屋の品揃えに至るまでね。
I wonder if that's a little too much power. I assumed she was exaggerating. But then again, Windmill Hill did belong to him, and we were talking about renting it out for research. He owned a lot of other land, and Yoru said he'd invested a lot in town development, like building Windy and stuff. And of course, he was the Keifu Academy board chairman. He was definitely one of Kazugara's... Yeah, I actually had to say on that one. He was definitely one of Kazugara's leading figures.
だから避けては通れない相手なんだけど。じゃあいいじゃない。早いとこ話つけましょうよ。
Kotori joked, but Izuka's face darkened.
なんで向こうから呼び出しが来るかな。僕らのやってることってそんな大したことじゃないじゃん。
Depends.
ぶっちゃけそんなラスボスみたいな人が直接出てくるような規模の話じゃないわけ。
It wasn't like we were laying railroad tracks or building a giant shopping mall. Is it because his grandchildren are involved? That's why he's lending us the hangar.
でもだったらなんで朝ちゃんた
たち抜きで僕らだけ呼び出されるんだろう。僕何か悪いことしたかな。
Izuka's face was full of anxiety. But Kotori and I couldn't think of any reason.
でもいい人なんでしょ？
He always sounds really nice in Asa's stories.
とんでもない。すっごく気難しい人だよ。僕も何度か会ったことあるけど、いっつも怖い顔してた。
そうなんだ。
We thought he was a sweet old man who'd like to spoil his grandkids.
今はいろんな人が協力してくれるって言ってくれてるけど、風戸のおじいちゃんがダメって言ったら全部ひっくり返ると思う。
そんな。
それほどの影響力を持ってるんだよ。
And since he was the Keifu Academy chairman, he had influence with the school. I was starting to see what she meant by kingpin.
うちのお父さんはね、ある意味風戸のおじいちゃんを目標にしてて、町の利権争いで突っかかったりしてるの。
Ah, boy, I tell ya.
表面上はビジネスパートナーなんだけど、ぶっちゃけ嫌われてると思う。まあそれはうちのお父さんがほんと嫌な人だからってのもあるんだけど。
Well, and that's where his particular actions can have an effect on other people, including his daughter.
と僕も嫌われてるよ。
I wouldn't say he hates you in particular. The hatred of one person shouldn't carry over to another one who may be affiliated with him by blood, unless their attitude themselves resembles that of the former. Just calm down. We don't know if this'll be bad just yet. Izuka looked at the time, her face dark.
時間がない。タクシー拾うね。
We tried to grab a taxi on the main street. We were headed to the station, but since we had to slow down for Kotori, we were running late.
朝ちゃんたち抜きで呼ばれるってことは、孫の前じゃ話せないようなことを話す気じゃないかな。
まさかそんな。
Izuka was getting more irritated as we had trouble catching a taxi, and her unease was showing. But then why summon us as well?
連れてこいって言われたの。
Huh?
小鳥ちゃんと水瀬くんも連れてくるようにって。
We looked at each other on instinct. He asked for us by name?
一体何が始まろうとしているの？
Before we knew it, we were just as anxious as Izuka, our expressions just as dark. We finally caught a taxi and headed on our way. The Kazuto Manor was 2 train stops away. From there we headed to the mountains, and after a while we came to a massive gate. Kotori let out a groan as we arrived.
まるで大名屋敷みたい。
It wouldn't have even surprised me to see soldiers with spears guarding the gate. Izuka buzzed the intercom, and when she announced us at the gate... No, hang on. Izuka buzzed the intercom, and when she announced us, the gate opened automatically. I think there was supposed to be a comma after us. It was almost creepy, seeing that massive wooden gate open on its own.
行くよ。
Yeah. A servant guided us to the house and sat us in a traditional Japanese room.
立派な庭ね。
I kind of dig this walkway. We could see a beautiful traditional garden through the windows.
うちもさ、世間的にはお金持ちの部類に入ると思ってたんだけど、これは次元が違うわね。
You know what? I wouldn't mind kind of building a house like this kind of setup right here. It looks peaceful. Do people actually live in places like this? I was thinking out loud. It felt like we'd wandered into an old samurai movie. We waited a while. Just when the boredom and exhaustion had dulled over our nerves, a sliding door opened.
待たせたね。
全然待ってないです。
Yusuka was highly strung, and now she leapt up and spoke out, her voice cracking. However, Mr. Kazuto showed no sign of noticing. He was likely used to people being nervous when meeting him.
お久しぶりです。ご無沙汰してます。
うちの孫の誕生パーティー以来かな。
はい、そうです。
That had been where Izuka had met Asa and Yoru for the first time.
で、そちらのお二人が。
I'm Aoi Minase, sir.
ハバネ小鳥です。
We'd stood up with Izuka and bowed as we introduced ourselves.
ソアリング部の部長と水瀬のとこの息子か。
Huh?
よく来てくれた。楽にするといい。
I helped Kotori sit down.
すみません。まだうまく正座ができないので。
Kotori apologized and slid down onto the cushion, legs to one side. I'm sure her cane was explanation enough. The kimono-dressed man appeared quite old, but showed no sign of infirmity. He had an aura of quiet dignity. His back was straight, and though he didn't seem overbearing, he had none of the gentleness Asa's story suggested. Sitting across from him made us nervous, for no clear reason.
急に呼び出してすまなかった。なかなか自由になる時間がなくての。
いえ、全然平気っす。
Izuka, please relax.
君らがやろうとしていることは聞いておる。風が裏にソアリングクラブを作ろうとしているそうじゃな。
はい、そうです。
そのために今慶風学園のソアリング部が使用している設備を引き継ごうとしていると聞いておる。その中にはわしが朝に使わせている格納庫も含まれておるな。
その件につきましては後日ちゃんとお願いに上がるつもりでした。
Mr. Kazuto nodded quietly, and Izuka quieted down. He didn't seem to take offense at any of this.
君らの計画はわしにも無関係ではない。直接話を聞いてみたくてな。それで来てもらったんじゃ。詳しく聞かせてもらってもよろしいかな。
はい、もちろんです。
We had thought we'd have a chance to talk to him about the hangar directly, but we never expected him to call us in like this, and we still didn't know what he had in mind. Izuka hesitantly started explaining.
ご存知の通り、僕たち風が浦にソアリングクラブを作りたいと考えています。そのためにまず慶風学園ソアリング部のグライダーを預けてもらうという話になりまして。
Izuka went through her plans one by one. Mr. Kazuto sat and listened, his expression unchanging. We had no idea what he thought.
滑走路の使用許可は慶風学園との連携が取れることを条件に確約をいただきました。もしあの格納庫をお貸しいただければ最低限の設備は確保できることになります。将来的にはランウェイを拡張し機体を増やすことも。
慶風学園との交渉は進んでいるのかね。
それは今朝ちゃんたちが進めてくれています。
朝が。
Mr. Kazuto looked somewhat surprised. Asa is going to be the next club member. Oh, excuse me. Asa is going to be the next club leader. Since this issue concerns the next generation after we graduate, we left it to them.
そうか、朝がの。
I bet you he's quite proud of his granddaughter right now, and this is probably going to cause a major influence in his overall decision.
学校側と折り合いがつけられるかはまだわかりません。もしダメなら計画は大きく後退することになります。
It would mean starting the group might not happen at all.
しかし慶風学園のソアリング部を取り込もうとはなかなか大胆な考えじゃな。思いついたのは誰じゃ。
Kotori slowly raised her hand.
私です。
はあ、お嬢さんが。またどうしてそんなことを考えたんじゃな。
今私たちのソアリング部はたくさんの問題を抱えています。資格を持った指導者がいないことや活動場所の問題、一部の先生たちは生徒中心の活動に安全性の問題があると言っています。またパイロット資格を取るのに外の滑空場へ通う必要があり、部員の負担が大きく、結果として部員数も減少していき、これから先存続していけるかもわからない状態です。けどもしイスカさんのクラブで設備を借りるようにできれば、それらの問題が全て解決できます。有資格者の大人が管理するクラブで活動することで安全性は向上しますし、部活動を通して資格取得を目指すことができるようになります。
We talked it over and decided together it was the only way to secure the club's survival. Mr. Kazuto listened and nodded once deeply. He seemed to understand.
じゃが部の施設を譲るだけではまだ足りんじゃろう。資金も人員も必要じゃ。役人の許可も取り付けねばならんぞ。
資金はなんとかなります。
どうやって。
自分の会社があるので。
Okay. Kotori and I both looked at her in shock. Wasn't Izuka supposed to be a college student?
風戸さんならご存知と思いますが、僕は家を出ました。その時父から会社を一つもらいました。
手切れ金というわけか。
はい。
Izuka had a calm, stern expression.
でも持ち株を全部売って会社ごと人に譲る気でいます。
わしのところにも連絡が回ってきておったよ。娘が何かしでかしても今後一切ミサギ家とは関わりがないことだとな。
どういうことだろう。
No idea. But clearly, Izuka had cut all ties with her father. And if so, then that company really was a kind of compensation or a settlement.
しかしその財産を金にもならないソアリングクラブにつぎ込んでしまっても良いのかな。
The company from her father was probably supposed to support her after she left. It would be risky to spend all her money on this.
いやー、せっかく父が自由に生きていけって言ってくれたんで、ここは一丁好きなことやってみようかと。
Izuka said lightly, trying to cut the tension. It seemed kind of a forced one to me.
自分が生きていくためのお金は自分で何とかするつもりです。親からもらったお小遣いは楽しい遊びに使うに限ると思いませんか？
I don't think it's necessarily fun, but it's something to give you a chance to establish a solid future, And if you blow it, that's on you. Old man Kazuto showed the first hint of a smile at Izuka's sudden defiant turn.
潔んとこの小僧は気に食わんが、その娘はなかなかどうして。
For some reason that made Izuka freeze.
もともと10年くらいかけて準備してクラブを作るつもりでした。けど小鳥ちゃんたちの申し出のおかげで予算も時間もかなり抑えられそうです。夢だと思ってたことが現実的な目標に変わりました。これしかない、そう思ったんです。
Mr. Kazuto folded his arms in thought. Izuka stared intently, trying to read his expression.
しかし、どうしてわざわざ風ヶ浦を選んだのじゃ？他にもっと適した土地はあったじゃろう。
それは。
Izuka hesitated.
何か風ヶ浦にこだわる理由でもあるのかね？
Kazagawa was really well suited for gliding, with great landscape and climate. Does that include thermals? But redevelopment had increased land prices and the population, so it might not have been the best place to start the group.
備えるためです。
Oh? Izuka mumbled, suddenly losing confidence.
備える？何にじゃ？
モーニンググローリーに。
何？
数十年に一度モーニンググローリーと呼ばれる世界的にも珍しい気象現象がこの街の上空に現れます。美しい雲の回廊が数十キロにわたって空にかかる。僕はその雲を飛んでみたい。今度こそ自分の翼で。
Izuka said. Her voice was full of anguish. Kotori and I just watched, suddenly anxious.
とても個人的な理由に聞こえるが。
はい、そうです。だからこれは僕の野望なんです。
Izuka had bared her soul. She'd laid it open. I'm not sure it was the right answer here. She'd revealed to a vital business partner that her whole plan was built on purely personal reasons. But Kotori and I shared that same passion. We understood why she'd done it. It was the same passion that had borne us to the sky in the first place. But what did that matter to Kazuto? The idea of waiting around for some once-in-a-decade phenomenon honestly sounded crazy. Izuka gritted her teeth, clearly regretting her frankness.
モーニンググローリーか。
He muttered, and I sensed a touch of nostalgia in his voice. He closed his eyes like someone reliving an old memory.
ご存知なんですか？
Let me guess, he was also part of the group back in the day with doing this kind of stuff.
わしも昔グライダーに乗っておったからの。
Called it!
おじいちゃんが？
I elbowed Kotori in the side for that.
ごめんなさい、つい。
何？若い頃の話じゃ。
Now that he mentioned it, I remember Asa saying he used to keep a plane in the hangar when we were using.
一番最近現れたのは一昨年の夏じゃったな。
Kotori and I were stunned at this.
そこの二人はその時飛んだそうじゃな。
Yes, sir.
飛びました。
We struggled to keep up with the sudden sidetrack. How did he know all of this? Did Asa or Yoru tell him? Kotori looked confused and shot me a glance. We both flew through it, but she was at the controls.
お嬢さんが失礼じゃが足が不自由なんじゃろ？
はい、今は手術して立って歩けるようになりましたが、あの頃はまだ車椅子で生活してました。そんな私のためにみんなが手だけで操縦できるコックピットを作ってくれたんです。
ほほう。
Mr. Kazuto's eyes took on a sparkle.
どんな気分じゃったかね、あの雲の上は。
すっごく綺麗でした。虹色の空に黄金に光る雲の道が伸びていて、その上をグライダーで飛びました。常に上昇気流が吹いていて、高度を下げることなくどこまでも滑空できるんです。奇跡の中にいるって思いました。こんな景色があっていいんだろうかって。あの時きっと私は世界で一番美しい場所にいたんだと思います。
I mean, it does look cool, that's for sure. At some point, Mr. Kazuto and Isuka had both been drawn into Kotori's story and leaned forward to listen.
君たちはモーニンググローリーを目指すためにソアリング部に入部したそうじゃな。
はい、昔のソアリング部の人たちが残した写真を見て、私ずっと憧れてました。けど私はグライダーのことを何も知らなくて、ましてや立って歩くこともできない。自分には絶対無理だって決めつけてたんです。
大変な道のりじゃったじゃろうて。よくぞ最後までたどり着いたもんじゃ。
ここにいる葵や仲間たち、それから最初に夢を描いてくれたイスカさんのおかげです。
Isuka's face darkened again. She was embarrassed thinking about her past self, never believing that all her idle dreams could come true.
空は広くてあんなにも綺麗で、一人じゃ何にもできないって思ってた私にもいろんな可能性の翼があるんだって教えてくれました。
No.
Kazuto's face clouded over when Kotori said this.
いや、なんでもない。こっちの話じゃ。
あの時思ったんです。私の人生も捨てたものじゃないって。
Kotori closed her eyes. She spoke like that scene was still there, projected on the back of her eyelids.
私、いつかさんの野望を聞いた時、胸がドキドキしました。次、いつ来るかわからないモーニンググローリーに備えるって聞いて、自分も何かしたいって。
じゃから協力を申し出たのかね。
はい。
On the surface, everything Kotori had said was reasonable. But when you boiled it down, it came to this. When I realized what I wanted to do, my heart started pounding. It wasn't logical, but emotional. At the end, and in the end, people understood that. Mr. Kazuto seemed quietly satisfied.
モーニンググローリーと出会えることはグライダー乗りの夢じゃ。それに備えようというのは動機として十分理解できる。
Isuka's expression seemed to fill with joy.
じゃが、そんな夢物語に手を貸すほどわしは人情家ではない。 未熟な半人前のざれ言に手を貸して挙句若者を路頭に迷わせたとあってはわしが笑い者にされる。
Probably why you shouldn't have your finger in everything.
そんなことにはなりませんね、イスカさん。
Iska was frozen. Iska's face looked like she thought if the worst had happened, at least she'd be the one left penniless on the street. And Mr. Kazuto's face said, I told you.
お前らもじゃ。聞くところによるとモーニンググローリーを飛んで以降ソワリング部はただ好きに飛ぶだけで大した活動もしておらんようではないか。言うことは立派じゃがただのお遊びサークルではな。
そんなことありません。私たちなりにやるべきことをしてます。
We're teaching younger members and helping them get their licenses. I was getting worked up. He'd hit a nerve with that playing around comment.
どれ、もし自信があるというなら見せてもらってもよいかの。
いいですよ。今度私たち引退フライトをするんで、その時ぜひとも見に来てください。
Kotori?
よかろう。ただしわしは忙しい身じゃ。日時は
構いません。
Kotori's face was full of confidence, so she'd clearly forgotten our final flight was postponed due to a lack of a supervisor.
では3日後じゃ。
わかりました。
While Kotori answered full of defiance, I was praying to heaven for help. Oh boy.
うちのおじいちゃんと会ったんですか？なんかいきなり呼び出されて。
It was evening. We were gathered in the dining hall exchanging reports. Everyone was there except the two youngest members.
なんでまた急に？
I guess he just had some free time.
私たちの前だと厳しい顔できないからじゃないかしら。
Of course.
うちのおじいちゃん、孫にだけは甘いから。
Yeah, understandable. Even that can have some discrepancies.
そうかも。で、どんな話したわけ？
Izuka explained her group idea, and then...
モーニンググローリーを飛んだ時のことを聞かれた。こっちの方が話題的には食いつきが良かった気がする。なるほど。何がなるほどなの？いいえ、こっちのことです。それでどうなったんですか
Well, what happened?
でもあれ延期するんじゃ。
I thought so too. I stared at Kotori there beside me.
つい言っちゃったんだもん。
That wasn't no slip out. It had been quite the exchange.
まったく、また考えなしに発言したんですか。
Yoru sighed.
けど、ちょうどよかったわね、姉さん。
Of course, there's going to be a curveball twist in this that usually is beneficial to the protagonists.
そうだね。
How's that now?
実はこっちも先生らにフライトを見に来てもらうことで話がまとまったんです。
Is that right?
大変だったんですよ。
Asa's face looked exhausted.
最初一生懸命説明してもちっとも真面目に聞いてもらえなくて、なんか私たちの活動にあんまり興味ないって感じでした。あかりさんの言っている意味がよくわかりました。所詮は子供っていうのはこういう扱いなのかと。
Yoru clenched her fist. Yeah, she wanted to punch somebody. She must have been quite angry.
あれは無関心を装ってるけど、要するに責任を負いたくないのよ。だから子供扱いして適当にあしらおうって魂胆が見え見えだったわ。
I knew we should have gone with them. Maybe we could have gotten the adults to actually offer some opinions.
けどフライトを見に来てくれることになったんだよね。思わず私が鳥先輩のアドバイスに従って先生らの鼻先に一発かましてやろうかと思ったその時、職員室の隅っこでずっと黙ってお仕事してた飛岡先生がムクッと立ち上がってこっちに来たんですよ。なぬ？飛岡が？
Could this have been to when he saw y'all flying after he tried to stop you in the first game? Kotori's face was stunned, like they had invoked the name of an ancient enemy.
飛岡先生どうしたの？見に行くべきでしょう。
No kidding.
生徒たちの安全に関わる問題です。ちゃんとこの目で見て確かめるべきです。そう言ってくれて、他の先生も飛岡先生が言うならって。
Yeah, Tobioka has some influence.
どういう風の吹き回しかしら。まさか私たちの引退フライトを邪魔する気じゃ。
Could be.
それはないんじゃないかな。どうして？私らの計画って飛岡先生の主張にぴったり一致してるのよ。
Oh yeah, that's right. He always wanted us to work with a licensed adult.
そうそう。信用していいのかしら。信用できるかどうかは分かりませんが、当日は他の先生たちを連れてきてくれると言ってました。
Tobioka had settled down a lot since the day we flew the Morning Glory. He didn't come to complain anymore, and he honestly just didn't seem interested. I couldn't understand why he acted today, so I was really curious.
まとめます。うちらの引退フライトを朝ちゃんたちのおじいちゃんと先生たちが見に来ると。ということは？
So I guess that means it'll be our chance to make our case. Everyone then turned to Kotori.
望むところよ。見せてやりましょう。私たちが今日まで何をしてきたかを。
Kotori Habane, our leader, fired up, passion filling her voice. Oh boy. I guess that would be kind of interesting to see one final flight actually happen.
あれは翼端に発煙筒みたいなのを取り付けてリモコンで着火できるようにしてるんじゃないかな。
Oh, they're planning to really make a bang out of this. We quickly assembled at the hangar to start getting ready for the final flight. Agaha was currently explaining how to leave trails from the wings when doing aerobatics. Using smoke, gliders could leave trails similar to the contrails left by jets. It allowed observers to easily see the movements of the glider, and when combined with aerobatics, it was really impressive.
それ自体は簡単な仕組みだから作るのは今日一日あればできると思うよ。
Nice. But the problem is we can't test it. We have 2 days until our final flight, but we still could not practice. And so we had no way to test out the smoke equipment.
模型グライダーかラジコン飛行機で試せないでしょうか。
あ、それなら俺お手伝いできます。
スケールに差がありすぎるけど、やらないよりかはマシだと思います。 下からどう見えるかも確認したいですし。そうね。朝ちゃん、はるみくん、そっちお願いできる？
任せてください。
Harumi seemed uncharacteristically confident. Of course, his interest in plane and glider modeling is what brought him to Keifu Academy. And Asa was such a flight fan that she was into RC planes and models too.
キリノさんも手伝ってくれる？了解っす。姉さんが後輩に作業をさせようとしている。
Hey, they grow up at some point, Yoru. Remember that.
早速新部長としての自覚が出てきたかね。問題はアクロバットの内容と順序ね。
And how to use the smoke with them. We could not turn them on for the whole flight, so we would have to choose the perfect moment.
そっちはパイロット2人に任せるわね。ヨルちゃん、こっち手伝ってくれる？ええ。
Agaha and Yoru went off to get started on making the equipment.
まずはシミュレーションしてみましょう。
Yeah. The pilots went into the office to use the computer. Everyone dove headfirst into their work. And you know what? How much work it definitely will be. You gotta hand it to these folks. They are giving it their all, which of course is what you would want anyone to do, is give it their all. And with that, we're gonna give it our all by probably wanting to get some sleep for those of us who are in the evening periods. And also as a means to give these folks some time to do what they do. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense coming from a story, doesn't it? But hey, that's my imagination in a nutshell. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and cut it here, and we're gonna save some for the next stream. So hopefully you got a kick out of this. Let me know in the comments below and everything, and this VOD will be available on the YouTube side. So speaking of that, give you some closing announcement here. First and foremost, tomorrow, Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be diving into Resident Evil 4 again. So we're going to be continue on seeing if we can get that plaga out of Leon and Ashley before it's too late. So that's Resident Evil 4, the remake, tomorrow, Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And also a little more fun in Super Mario 64. That'll be on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So looking forward to some more yahoos, as you say, and yahs and wahs, if you will. And also, as said before, my primary outlet is my YouTube channel, so definitely check that out. Plenty of content on there for you and more to come. VA role plays, visual novel playthroughs, as this VOD will be on there as well. Gaming playthrough archives such as the Resident Evil 4 as well as Super Mario 64. Tech tutorials such as for Discord bots as well as some things for OBS if you're looking to get into doing some things as a content creator. I've got some tips and tricks that you can do for audio processing to get your voice sounding decent and other materials sounding decent on OBS. And also for the Life Lesson series that's covering anime and movies, I am working on the script for the next installment for the life lessons in the HBO miniseries Chernobyl. A lot of lessons in there, mainly about the necessity for being truthful. And I'd say that's more than anything else that we need more than anything. And moving on, you can check out my Twitter, and that's where all of my updates happen, twitter.com/sound_otaku_. So if you are not following on there, I definitely suggest that you do. And also links to any of my outlets are available on the master link here on Linktree. And if you want to contact me for a project that you have, whether it be for voiceovers or for audio processing, you can hit me up on any of these destinations here. I actually need to change that one for Discord because Discord changed the nicknaming structure. So therefore I'll need to change that as well. But just hit me up at Sound Otaku. You should be able to find me there. And once again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy mixing, everyone.